The Mirati delegation stopped moving the moment the humans walked through the door. Doctor Amara Osei had expected curiosity. She had prepared for confusion, maybe even a little fear. First contact situations were always unpredictable, but she had not expected the look of pure disgust that crossed Speaker Orvani's pale, almost translucent face. What happened to them? Orvani whispered to his aide, not quietly enough. Are they diseased? Amara kept her expression neutral. Beside her, Nikolai Petrov shifted his weight, and Rosa Delgado let out a slow breath. They had all heard it. The greeting chamber of Harmony 7 Station was beautiful in a cold way. White walls, soft blue lighting, everything designed for species who found brightness painful. The Mirati themselves looked like they had never seen sunlight in their lives. Their skin was so pale it was nearly see-through, with faint blue veins visible beneath the surface. Their eyes were large and dark, built for dim caves and underground cities. They looked at the humans like they were looking at burned victims. Speaker Orvani, Amara said, stepping forward with her hand extended in the human greeting gesture they had been taught. I am Dr. Amara Osei, lead ambassador for Earth. These are my colleagues, Nikolai Petrov and Rosa Delgado. We are honored to meet the Confederated Worlds. Orvani did not take her hand. He stared at it instead, at the deep brown skin, the visible knuckles, the calluses on her palm from years of field work. Your skin, he said slowly. It is damaged. All of you. The darker one, the red one, the brown one. You have all been burned. Nikolai's face was indeed red. He had pale Russian skin that turned pink in any sunlight, covered in old scars from a research expedition to Antarctica where reflected UV rays had caught him off guard. Rosa's bronze Mexican complexion showed years of outdoor work, and Amara's deep black skin carried the marks of a lifetime under the African sun. We are not burned, Amara said carefully. This is our natural appearance. This is what humans look like. Impossible. A Mirati doctor stepped forward, holding a scanning device. May I? Amara nodded. The doctor ran the scanner over her arm, and his dark eyes went wide. Speaker, these readings are extraordinary. The melanin concentration in her epidermis is beyond anything in our medical databases. And there are markers of cellular repair throughout her tissue. Radiation damage, healed over and over again. This woman has been exposed to more ionizing radiation than a nuclear technician. I am a solar physicist, Amara said. I've spent my career studying our sun. Your sun? Orvani looked confused. What classification? G-type, main sequence. Yellow dwarf. The room went silent. Several Mirati exchanged looks of disbelief. That is not possible, Orvani said. G-type stars produce lethal amounts of radiation. No complex life could evolve in such a system. You would need to live underground, as our ancestors did before we developed shielding technology. We do not live underground, Rosa said. We live on the surface, under the open sky, in direct sunlight. Some of us, Nikolai added with a slight smile, even enjoy it. The Mirati doctor was still staring at his scanner. Speaker, according to these readings, all 3 of them should be dead. The cumulative radiation exposure alone would have killed any known species dozens of times over. Our biology is adapted to it, Amara explained. She had given this lecture before to university students and scientific conferences. She had never given it to aliens who looked at her like she was a walking corpse. Melanin in our skin absorbs and dissipates UV radiation. Our cells have repair mechanisms that fix DNA damage continuously. We produce vitamin D from sunlight. We need solar exposure to survive. You need it. Orvani's voice was faint. Without it, we become sick. Our bones weaken. Our immune systems fail. We evolved under a star that would kill you, Speaker, and we did not just survive. We thrive. The silence stretched on. Amara could see the Mirati trying to process this information, trying to fit humans into their understanding of the universe. They cannot do it. To them, humanity was a contradiction, a species that should not exist. Perhaps, Orvani said finally, we should continue this discussion after you have been examined by our medical staff. For your own safety, of course. Such extensive damage must require treatment. Amara did not argue. There was no point. The Mirati had decided what they were seeing, and no amount of explanation would change their minds today. As they were led away to the medical wing, a young Mirati scientist fell into step beside Amara. Her name tag read, Researcher Lin. Dr. Osei, she said quietly, I have studied your solar system's data. The radiation output of your star is not possible to survive, not by any known biology. And yet here I am. Lin looked at her with something that was not disgust. It was closer to wonder. Your sun produces more radiation in 1 hour than our star produces in 1 week. Your world should be a dead rock. Instead, it created you. Our sun is harsh, Amara agreed, but it is also generous. It gave us energy, warmth, and life. The radiation levels would kill a Mirati in 4 minutes of direct exposure. Amara smiled. I have spent entire days working in direct sunlight, researcher. It gives me a tan. Lin stopped walking. Her pale face had gone even paler. Dr. Osei, I need to ask you something, and I need you to answer honestly. Of course. How are you alive? Amara thought about her grandmother in Accra, rubbing shea butter into sun-warmed skin. She thought about generations of ancestors who had lived and worked and loved under the blazing African sun. She thought about what it meant to be human, to be a child of a star that burned so bright it would blind these gentle cave dwellers. Because our sun taught us to be strong, she said, and because we never had a choice. Somewhere in the distance, an alarm began to sound. Researcher Lin had never seen a star like Sol. She sat in her laboratory on Harmony 7, staring at the images on her screen. The yellow sphere burned with a fury that made her eyes water, even through multiple filters. Solar flares erupted from its surface like the anger of an ancient god. Plasma storms twisted and danced across its face, and 8 planets orbited this monster. One of them had created life. This is impossible, she whispered to herself for the 100th time. The data did not lie. Earth received 1,361 watts of solar radiation per square meter. Mirati Prime received 89. Humans lived under a star that was 15 times more violent than anything the Confederated Worlds considered survivable. The door opened behind her. Dr. Osei walked in, still wearing the simple medical gown from her examination. They found nothing wrong with me, she said. They seemed disappointed. They do not understand what they are seeing. Lin gestured to the screen. Neither do I, truly. But I'm trying. Amara walked over and looked at the image of her home star. A soft smile crossed her face, the kind of expression Lin had seen on Mirati faces when they looked at pictures of loved ones. She is beautiful, is she not? She is terrifying, Lin said honestly. How can you look at that and feel anything but fear? Amara sat down beside her. Let me tell you about my grandmother. She lived in a small village in Ghana, on the western coast of Africa. Every morning, she would wake before dawn and walk 3 kilometers to her farm. She would work in the fields until the sun was directly overhead, then rest in the shade during the hottest hours, then work again until dark. She worked in direct sunlight every day for 70 years. Her skin was darker than mine, so dark it seemed to absorb the light around her. When I was a child, I asked her if the sun hurt her. She laughed at me. Lin tried to imagine it. A lifetime of radiation exposure that would kill her family in minutes. She told me that the sun was harsh, but also honest. It did not hide its power. It did not pretend to be gentle. And because of that, we learned to respect it. We learned to work with it instead of against it. But the damage, Lin said. Our doctors found evidence of cellular repair happening constantly in your body. Your DNA is being broken and rebuilt thousands of times a day. Yes. And my body handles it without any effort. This is what millions of years of evolution created. Not shields or underground cities, just flesh and blood that learned to dance with the fire. Lin pulled up another file. Photographs of humans throughout history. Dark-skinned people working in fields under blazing suns. Pale-skinned people with reddened faces and peeling noses after beach vacations. Children playing in summer heat. Workers building cities under open skies. This one, She pointed to an image of a red-haired man with severe sunburn. This looks painful. That is what happens when someone with light skin spends too much time in direct sunlight without protection. It is called sunburn. It heals in a few days. Days? Exposure that would cause this level of tissue damage in a Mirati would be fatal within hours. Nikolai has had worse burns than that. He once fell asleep on a beach and woke up looking like a cooked crustacean. He complained for a week, then his skin peeled and new skin grew in underneath. A little darker than before, a little more resistant. Lynn stared at her. Your bodies adapt? In real time. It is called tanning. The more sun exposure we get, the more melanin our skin produces, the more protected we become. We are not static creatures, researcher. We change to meet our environment. The concept was almost too alien to process. Mirati biology was stable, predictable, unchanging. The idea of a body that rewrote itself in response to radiation was something out of science fiction. I need to show you something, Lynn said. She pulled up a star chart. This is the Mirati home system. Our star, Shade's Heart, is a red dwarf. Cool, stable, dim. Our ancestors evolved in caves, because even that weak light was too much for our early biology. Over millions of years, we developed the technology to shield ourselves, to filter the light, to create comfortable darkness wherever we went. You feared your star. We respected its danger, as we thought all intelligent species must. And then you met us. And then we met you. Lynn turned to face her fully. Dr. Osei, my people have been part of the Confederated Worlds for 8,000 years. We have met hundreds of species. All of them evolved under dim stars or in shielded environments. All of them share our sensitivity to radiation. We believe this was a universal constant of intelligent life. What changed? You did. Your existence changes everything we thought we knew about biology, about evolution, about the limits of life itself. Amara was quiet for a moment. Then she reached out and took Lynn's pale, delicate hand in her own dark, calloused one. The Mirati flinched at first. Human skin was so warm, almost hot, like touching a sun-heated stone. We are not miracles, Amara said gently. We are just survivors. Our star forced us to be strong, so we became strong. Your star allowed you to be gentle, so you became gentle. Neither is better. They are just different. Before Lynn could respond, the alarm that had been sounding in the distance suddenly grew louder. Red lights began flashing in the corridor outside, that a voice came over the station's communication system. Emergency alert. Solar storm approaching Shade's rest colony. Estimated arrival, 18 hours. Radiation levels will exceed survivability thresholds. All available ships prepare for evacuation support. Lynn's blood ran cold. Shade's rest had 2 million people. Evacuation was impossible in that time frame. She looked at Amara, at her sun-darkened skin and calm eyes, and a desperate idea began to form. Dr. Osei, she said slowly, how long could a human survive in the radiation levels of an active solar storm? Amara understood immediately. A fierce light entered her eyes. Long enough. The emergency command center was chaos. Mirati officers rushed between stations, their pale faces tight with fear. Screens displayed the approaching solar storm, a wall of radiation sweeping through space toward the colony world of Shade's Rest. 2 million people. 18 hours. Speaker Ravani stood at the center of it all, barking orders that accomplished nothing. Underground shelters could hold 400,000. The remaining 1.6 million would be caught on the surface when the storm hit. Survival time in that radiation for minutes. We need more evacuation ships, someone shouted. There are no more ships, another voice answered. We cannot get them there in time. Amara walked into the room with Nikolai and Rosa behind her. Lynn had gotten them past security with her researcher credentials. Every Mirati in the room turned to stare at them with a mixture of confusion and contempt. Speaker Irvani, Amara said, we can help. Help. Irvani's laugh was bitter and exhausted. What can 3 primitives do against a solar storm? Walk through it. The room went silent. Amara stepped forward, pulling up data on the main screen. The radiation levels in this storm are approximately 1200 watts per square meter at peak intensity. That is lower than Earth's normal sunlight. My team can work in those conditions for hours. That is absurd, a Mirati military officer said. No biological creature can survive that exposure. Humans can. Nikolai stepped up beside Amara. His red face and scarred skin made several Mirati look away. I have worked in Antarctic conditions where reflected solar radiation caused second-degree burns on exposed skin. I worked for 6 months. I am still here. We are not asking for your permission, Rosa added. We are telling you what we can do. You have people trapped on that planet who will die if no one reaches them. We can reach them. Orvani shook his head. This is a trick, some kind of political maneuver. You're trying to embarrass the Confederated Worlds by pretending to be heroes when you know you will fail. People are going to die, Amara said, her voice cold. Children are going to die, and you're standing here questioning our motives instead of accepting help. What kind of leader does that make you? How dare you, speaker? Lynn stepped forward, her tablet in hand. I have run the calculations. Earth's baseline solar radiation is higher than the peak output of this storm. If humans can survive their homeworld, they can survive Shade's Rest. The biology supports it. The biology is impossible. Then let them prove it. Lynn's voice was quiet but firm. Let them try. What do we lose? 3 aliens who volunteered, against 1.6 million of our own people. Orvani looked at her like she had betrayed him. Perhaps she had. But Lynn had seen the data. She had looked into Amara's eyes and seen something the speaker could not understand. People who genuinely wanted to help, with no ulterior motive except basic decency. Fine, Orvani said finally. Take them to the Steady Dawn. Let them join the rescue effort. When they die screaming from radiation poisoning, at least we will have proof that humans are not what they claim to be. Amara did not react to the cruelty in his words. She simply nodded and turned to leave. Dr. Osei, Orvani's voice stopped her. My daughter is on Shade's Rest, in the governmental district where the shielding is weakest. If you somehow survive long enough to reach that area. He could not finish the sentence. I will find her, Amara said. You have my word. The Steady Dawn was a fast rescue vessel, built for emergencies exactly like this one. Its Mirati crew retreated to the shielded core the moment they entered the affected star system. The radiation alarm screamed constantly, warning of lethal exposure levels throughout the outer sections of the ship. The 3 humans stood on the observation deck, watching the storm approach the planet below. It is actually quite beautiful, Rosa said. The radiation made the upper atmosphere glow with strange colors, purple and green and gold. Like the northern lights on Earth, but brighter, fiercer. Reminds me of sunset in Siberia, Nikolai agreed. The way the light hits the snow. Amara said nothing. She was thinking about the people below, huddled in shelters and basements, watching the sky turn to fire. She was thinking about a little Mirati girl waiting for her father to save her. Landing zone in 5 minutes, the ship's computer announced. Warning, radiation levels exceed safe parameters by factor of 700. Exposure will result in immediate cellular death for all known species. All known species, Rosa repeated with a small smile. Good thing we are unknown. The ship touched down on a landing pad outside the main colony. Through the windows, they could see the streets were empty. Everyone who could reach shelter had already done so. Those who could not were already dead or dying. Amara checked her equipment one last time. Water, basic medical supplies, a communication device. Nota digestion suites. Those would not help anyway, and they would slow her down. Ready? She asked. Born ready, Nikolai said. Let's go save some people, Rosa added. The airlock opened. Radiation flooded in, invisible but powerful. The Mirati crew watching from the interior cameras gasped as the 3 humans stepped out into the killing light. Amara felt the warmth on her skin immediately. It was intense, like standing too close to a bonfire. She could feel her melanin responding, her cells beginning their ancient dance of damage and repair. It would hurt later. It would hurt a lot. But not yet. She looked up at the burning sky, at the star that was trying to kill everything on this world, and she smiled. Feels like summer in Sonora, Rosa said beside her. They walked into the fire. Tessani held her children close and prayed to God she did not believe in. The building had collapsed around them when the first radiation wave hit. Some kind of power surge had blown out the support beams, and now they were trapped in a small pocket of rubble, protected from the killing light by layers of broken concrete. Her son, only 4 years old, had stopped crying an hour ago. That scared her more than the crying had. "Mama," her daughter whispered, "is anyone coming?" "Someone will come," Tessani lied. No Mirati could survive out there. The rescue teams had tried it first, and the footage of their deaths had spread across every screen before the authorities cut the feeds. For minutes of screaming agony as their cells broke down. No one else had volunteered after that. They were going to die here. All of them. Through a crack in the rubble, she could see a sliver of the outside world. The sky was wrong, filled with colors that should not exist. The ground was covered with the bodies of people who had not reached shelter in time. Some of them were still moving, but they would not be moving for long. Then she saw something impossible, that a figure was walking through the street. Not running, not crawling. Walking. Calmly, deliberately, as if the killing radiation was nothing more than a gentle breeze. The figure was not Mirati. It was too dark, too solid, too alive that it was human. Tessani had heard about the aliens who had arrived at Harmony 7. The damaged ones, the burned ones. She had dismissed the rumors as exaggeration. No one could survive what the Mirati had described. But here was proof, walking through fire like it was nothing. The human was a woman with brown skin and black hair pulled back in a practical knot. She was searching the rubble, calling out in a language Tessani did not understand, then switching to broken Mirati. "Hello? Anyone alive? Hello? Here!" Tessani screamed. "We are here." The human turned toward the sound. She climbed over broken walls and shattered glass, moving with careful purpose. Her skin was darker than before, Tessani realized, adapting in real time to the radiation. And her eyes, when they met Tessani's through the crack in the rubble, were filled with something unexpected: kindness. "I see you," the human said. "How many?" "3. My children. They are small. Please help us. I will get you out. Stay calm." The human began moving debris with her bare hands. The metal was hot from radiation, hot enough to burn Mirati flesh in seconds. The human did not even flinch. She lifted pieces that should have been too heavy, working with desperate efficiency. 10 minutes later, the hole was big enough. "Come," the human said, reaching in with both hands. "Take my hands. I will carry the children." Tessani hesitated. Human skin was hot to the touch, she had heard. Hot like a fever patient, hot like sickness. "I will not hurt them," the human said softly. "I promise. I have children in my family too. I would never harm a child." Tessani believed her. She did not know why, but she believed her. She passed her son out first. The human cradled him against her chest, one arm supporting his body. Then her daughter. Then Tessani herself climbed through into the burning light. The radiation hit her immediately. Pain, like needles in every part of her body. She gasped and stumbled. "We need to move fast," the human said. "The shelter is 2 blocks away. I will carry both children. You stay close behind me in my shadow. My body will block some of the radiation. It will still hurt, but you will survive. How can you stand this?" Tessani whispered. The human smiled. Her lips were cracked from the dryness, and her skin was already darkening further. "I grew up under a star much worse than this. This is just a bad sunburn." They ran. Tessani stayed close behind the human, matching her steps, trying to keep the larger body between herself and the killing sky. Every second felt like an hour. Every breath was fire in her lungs, but the human never slowed. She carried both children like they weighed nothing, her legs pumping steadily, her body absorbing radiation that should have dropped her dead. They reached the shelter. Other Mirati were there, huddled in the darkness, staring with wide eyes as the human burst through the door with her living cargo. "Medical attention," the human said, setting the children down gently. "They need fluids and radiation treatment." The mother too. "What are you?" someone asked. The human was already turning back toward the door. There are more people out there. I have to go. You will die out there. Then I will die helping. She looked back over her shoulder. That is what humans do. She was gone before anyone could stop her. Across the colony, Nikolai was having similar success. His pale skin had turned an angry, painful red, blisters already forming on his forearms. He ignored the pain. There would be time for pain later. He had just finished repairing a jammed blast door on Shelter 7, manually cranking the mechanism with hands that were burned and bleeding. 300 Mirati had rushed past him into safety. None of them had said thank you. That was fine. He was not doing this for thanks. Rosa had found a group of children separated from their parents, hiding in a drainage tunnel. She carried them out 3 at a time, making trip after trip. Her bronze skin turned almost black from melanin production. And Amara was heading for the governmental district where the shielding was weakest and the speaker's daughter was waiting 14 hours since they had started. 14 hours of walking through fire. Their bodies were beginning to break down in ways even human biology could not ignore forever. But they were not done yet. Not while there were still people to save. Speaker Orvani watched the footage in silence. The video showed a human woman walking through the governmental district of Shade's Rest. The radiation meters on the camera showed levels that should have killed any biological creature in seconds. The woman walked through them like they were nothing. She found the building where his daughter had been hiding. She dug through the rubble with her bare hands. She carried his daughter out into the burning light, shielding the small Mirati body with her own, and walked 3 kilometers to the nearest shelter. His daughter was alive. Because a burned, damaged alien had decided to keep a promise to a man who had insulted her. The footage ended. Orvani said nothing for a long time. The medical bay on Harmony 7 was designed for Mirati physiology. The doctors had done their best to adapt it for humans, but they were working blind. No one had ever treated a human patient before. Amara lay in a bed that was too short for her, hooked up to machines that beeped in confusion at her readings. Her skin was several shades darker than it had been 3 days ago. Her lips were cracked and bleeding. Her eyes were swollen, nearly shut from the radiation exposure. She looked terrible. She felt worse, but she was smiling. 1.2 million, she said when Len came to visit. Her voice was rough, damaged from breathing superheated air. That is how many additional survivors they counted. People who would have died if we had not been there. You almost died yourself, Len said quietly. All 3 of you. Your cellular repair mechanisms are working at maximum capacity. The doctors say they have never seen anything like it. Your bodies are literally rebuilding themselves in real time. We'll be fine. Give us a week, maybe 2. Plenty of water, some good food, and rest. Human bodies are resilient. Resilient, Len laughed, but there was no humor in it. That is what you call surviving 15 times the lethal radiation dose for any known species. Resilient. The door opened. Speaker Orvani walked in, looking older than he had 3 days ago. The weight of gratitude and shame sat heavy on his shoulders. Dr. Osei, he said. Speaker. He stood by her bedside for a long moment, looking at her burned and healing skin. Then, slowly, he sat down in the chair beside her. My daughter is alive because of you. She told me what you did, how you carried her through the fire, how you spoke to her, kept her calm, promised her that everything would be okay. I made you a promise. I kept it. I called you damaged, primitive, diseased. His voice broke slightly. I looked at your skin and saw only weakness. I did not understand what I was seeing. Amara reached out and took his hand. Her skin was hot, feverish from the healing process. He flinched but did not pull away. You evolved to hide from the light, she said. We evolved to walk in it. Neither is weakness. Neither is strength. They're just different responses to different stars. But you did not have to help us. After how we treated you, no one would have blamed you for refusing. Speaker, my people have a saying. The measure of a person is not how they treat those who can help them. It is how they treat those who cannot help them. Your people were dying. We could help. The choice was obvious. Even after our cruelty, especially after your cruelty. That is when kindness matters most. Orvani was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was steady again, the voice of a leader who had learned a hard lesson. The Confederated Worlds has never seen anything like what you did on Shade's Rest. The footage is spreading across every planet, every station, every ship. People are watching humans walk through radiation storms like they are walking through rain. They are watching you save lives that we could not save ourselves. We were just doing what needed to be done. No, Dr. Osei, you were showing us what we had forgotten. That the universe is harsh, but life does not have to be. That survival is not just about protecting yourself, but about protecting others. He stood and straightened his formal robes. When you're recovered, I would like to discuss something with you. A proposal for the Council. I believe humanity has something valuable to offer the Confederated Worlds. Not technology, not resources, something more important. What is that? Hope. The hope that comes from seeing someone walk into fire to save a stranger. He paused at the door. We called your scars a mark of weakness. We were wrong. They are proof that you have faced the worst the universe can offer and survived. That is not weakness. That is something we do not have a word for in our language. We call it strength, Amara said simply. Orvani nodded slowly. Then we will learn this word, and we will remember who taught it to us. After he left, Lynn sat down in his empty chair. Her pale eyes were wet with tears she did not fully understand. He is right, she said. Everything is going to change now. How we see you, how we see ourselves, how we see what is possible. Amara closed her eyes. Her body ached. Her skin burned. She had never been more exhausted in her life, but she was also more proud than she had ever been. Not of herself, of her species, of the stubborn, sunburned, impossible humans who had looked at a galaxy full of darkness and decided to bring their own light. Good, she said. Change is good. That is the only way anything gets better. 6 months changed everything. The Human Solar Corps started with 30 volunteers. By the time Amara finished her recovery, there were 300. By the time she returned to active duty, there were 3,000. Young men and women from every continent on Earth, trained in emergency response, radiation protocols, and interspecies communication. They were sent across the galaxy. Wherever stars misbehaved, wherever radiation threatened the innocent, humans answered the call. Today's mission was different. A research station in a binary star system had lost its shielding. 200 scientists from 12 different species were trapped inside, slowly dying from radiation exposure that no known species could survive long enough to repair the damage. An unknown species, except one. Amara stood in the cargo bay of the rescue ship, looking at her team. 30 humans in simple work clothes, no radiation suits, no protective gear. Their skin ranged from the palest white to the deepest black, each shade telling its own story of solar adaptation. Listen up, she said. This is worse than Shade's Rest. 2 stars, both active, radiation coming from multiple angles. Rotation shifts are limited to 2 hours. After that, even human bodies start to break down. We understand, said a young woman from Brazil, her bronze skin already darkening in anticipation. We're ready, added a red-haired man from Ireland, his freckled face set with determination. Amara nodded. Then let us go save some people. The rescue took 4 days. They worked in shifts, moving through corridors that glowed with invisible death. They carried scientists to shielded rooms. They repaired damaged systems with hands that blistered and healed and blistered again. They spoke soft words of comfort to beings who had never imagined that aliens could be so gentle. That on the 3rd day, a crystalline scientist asked Amara the question she had answered 100 times before. Why do you help us? Your people gain nothing from this. You risk your lives for strangers. Amara thought about her grandmother, working under the African sun. She thought about Nikolai laughing through his sunburn. She thought about Rosa carrying children through fire. She thought about generations of humans who had looked up at their violent yellow star and refused to hide. Because our sun taught us that the universe is harsh, she said. But it also taught us that we do not have to be. All 200 scientists survived. When Amara returned to Harmony 7, Speaker Orvani was waiting for her with a formal document. The Soul Accords, he said, handing it to her. Ratified by the full council this morning. Humanity is granted a permanent seat on the Emergency Response Council. Your species will never again be dismissed as damaged or primitive. Your scars will be honored as marks of service. Amara looked at the document, at the signatures of leaders from 100 worlds. She thought about how far they had come since that first meeting, when Emirati had recoiled from her handshake. Thank you, Speaker. This means a great deal. It is we who should thank you. You showed us that strength is not about hiding from the darkness. It is about carrying light into it. 3 weeks later, Amara went home. The shuttle touched down in Accra on a bright afternoon, the sun blazing overhead in the familiar yellow that she had missed more than she realized. The heat wrapped around her like a welcome blanket. Her family was waiting on the landing pad. Brothers, sisters, cousins, aunts, uncles. And at the front of the crowd, a little girl with skin dark as midnight and a smile bright as sunrise. Auntie Amara. Her niece ran toward her, arms outstretched. Amara caught her and lifted her high, spinning her around in the sunlight. The little girl laughed with pure joy. I watched you on the news, she said breathlessly. I saw you walking through the fire. Mama said you were saving people. That is right, little one. Were you scared? Amara thought about the question carefully. Sometimes, but being scared does not mean you cannot be brave. It means being brave is harder, and the hard things are usually the most important. Her niece nodded seriously, processing this wisdom with a gravity that only children can manage. Will you tell me about the stars? She asked. Mama said you went very far away. Amara set her down and took her small hand in her own. They walked together toward the rest of the family, the African sun warm on their skin. Let me tell you about the stars, little one, and why they should never fear the light. The galaxy had spent thousands of years hiding from its stars, building civilizations in shadow and safety, treating darkness as protection and light as danger. They had looked at humanity's burned skin and seen only damage, only weakness, only the marks of a primitive species that had not learned to hide. They had not understood. Humans were not damaged by their sun. They were forged by it, shaped by millions of years under a yellow star that demanded strength or death. Their scars were not wounds. They were armor, written in flesh and melanin and stubbornness. And in a galaxy full of beings who feared the light, the children of soul walked in fire. Not because they had to, because someone always needed to. Because the universe was harsh, but humans had decided long ago that they did not have to be. The scars were never a mark of weakness. They were proof of survival. They were proof of love. And they were just the beginning.